On today's show,
The numbers don't seem real. We debate which star is having the better season, James Harden or Russell Westbrook.
is Paul George the East's second best player? Which star do you feel bad for? And which team needs their injured player back the most?
And just hold on, Drake Knight is back.
It's Wednesday, November 16th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, sweet world, and welcome to The Starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast, joining us live right now on NBA TV or a little bit later on YouTube, we're happy to have you. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Millis.
We both know we ain't kids no more.
To his right, it's the international man of mystery, taking it to the stash. Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lately last, certainly not least, over there in a poo-colored shirt, Drake Kirby. Hey, TK, what's up, poo shirt?
The color of my planters at home, Skeets. Thank you very much, bud. I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters. And I hate to say this, guys, but I think Lee's two-timing us.
What?
Look at this article that somebody sent in today. Restaurateur Lee Ellis is getting into the barbecue business.
Wow.
Explain yourself. Oh, wait, it gets worse. Lee apparently is also a professor of oncology, and of course, he's an intellectual property lawyer. That's Lee, for sure.
I thought that was
That
him.
looks like Lee.
But here's the worst. The guy even changed his name around so that he could become a paranormal romance author, Ellis Lee. You didn't think we were going to catch on to that?
I need a side gig.
What's
guys.
your favorite one, Lee?
Probably Maverick.
Yeah.
It's,
Never. Killing it on the charts. But it brings us to today's question. What else has Lee Ellis been up to? For instance, I'm pretty sure I saw him hosting a late night talk show the other night. I think that's him. It at least sounds exactly like him. But we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter. What else has Lee Ellis been up to? Send us your best tweets to #TheStarters, and we'll hear from you later. And if you say anything about my poo shirt, you're going to have to answer me.
All right, get those tweets in, #TheStarters. Tonight's show, Tass and I are going to go head-to-head in a round of Crossfire. And we'll talk a little David Blaine, Space Jam, and Drake. Yeah, it'll all make
What a
sense.
mix.
It'll all make sense. But right now, we're going to play a new game called 3-on-3, and I'll hand it over to TK.
Yeah, we've got 11 games on the schedule tonight, but we're going to take a look at 3 specific ones right here. I'll ask you guys a question about each. That's 3 questions. That's 3 games. It's 3-on-3, and we'll start with the Rockets traveling to Oklahoma City to take on the Thunder. There'll be 10 players on the court, but it really only comes down to 2. Former teammates James Harden and Russell Westbrook, who are both top 5 in usage rate and sure to finish top 5 in MVP voting. Which star's having the better season, the Beard or the Brody?
Wow, this is tough.
It's tough. They're spectacular, but James Harden, what do we expect from him? We expect him to score a lot.
Yep.
He's doing that better than Russell Westbrook. He's shooting better from the free throw line, in 2-point land, in 3-point land, thanks to Tom Haberstroh from ESPN, for looking at NBA.com and figuring it out, because he wouldn't look at ESPN, no way. I just read his tweet, and then I looked at the stats. James Harden's also assisting more. I think it's an easy answer for James Harden.
Yeah, I think when it's
Easy answer.
Yeah,
Well, when it's so close,
Russell's
I think it's very,
spectacular.
very close.
I think when it's so close, you have to find things to split hairs over.
Yeah.
And I mean, Westbrook and Harden are both having great seasons. I go with Westbrook because I don't think he has quite the same help that James Harden had, or maybe he's not utilizing that help the way James Harden is. James Harden's really getting his teammates involved, doing a great job. But I think Westbrook is more actually carrying his team by himself.
Yeah, look at the stats. I mean, the breakdown is crazy. The numbers from both of these guys. Harden leading the league in assists, Westbrook leading the league in usage rating, which is over 40% right now.
That would
crazy.
be a record
I mean,
in
that's-
the NBA. That would crush Kobe's percentage.
That's unreal. I mean, look, you're right. You got to split hairs when it comes down to this. When you add up Harden's points scored plus his points assisted, that accounts for 69% of the Rockets' points when he's on the floor. Do the same thing with Westbrook, and it's 70%. It's that close.
Yeah.
So in the tiniest of margins, Westbrook's contributing in a weird way a little bit more.
Yeah.
It might just come down the answer to this, mate. Who wins tonight?
Yeah.
Which team wins tonight?
And
Is
the
it
Thunder-
Harden's Rockets or the Thunder?
The Thunder have lost
Westbrook's
4 in a row as well. Had they maybe won one
Yeah.
or 2 of those games, they'd have a slightly better record, and I think you would give it to Westbrook. Rockets 6-4. They play one less game, but they have got a slightly better record. I mean, you just got to find something to point it into one direction.
Don't you think Westbrook's doing it too much on his shoulders to a fault? Because Harden's doing it way more efficiently. It's not just raw numbers. Yeah, the numbers are there, but Russell shouldn't be putting everything on his back the way he's doing.
Well,
it hurts his team a little bit.
Yeah,
It has lately, but at the start it didn't.
Westbrook-
That was 6-1.
He is a man. He is not.
He's definitely
he is not
a man.
robot. Yeah, he is going to slow down a touch. That's just the way it is.
When Westbrook or Harden go to the bench, it all falls apart
Yeah.
for either of the teams. They're that important. It
Yeah.
really is a one-man show, which is what James Harden sort of referred to as Westbrook. All right, back to Trey for the next game. Next question.
Yeah, moving on to Pistons-Knicks, which should be a good game, but it's getting totally overshadowed by Phil Jackson's recent comments about LeBron James and his quote-unquote posse. After Jackson called LeBron's business partners a posse in an ESPN interview on Monday, James responded Tuesday saying he had zero respect for him and that they have, quote, no relationship at all. Carmelo echoed LeBron's comments saying, I would never want to hear that word. Having heard this from Phil and Melo, what impact will Jackson's posse comments have on the Knicks?
I think it has a negative impact on the Knicks. How does this help Phil Jackson's cause to try and get marquee free agents to come play for New York?
Yeah, I mean, maybe down the line, that's right. But even right now, any off-court distraction doesn't help a struggling team, especially when your main star, Carmelo Anthony, is a close friend of the guy LeBron.
Yeah, did he not? I mean, Melo's talked about it. Trey said it. He's offended Melo,
Yeah.
let alone LeBron and his business partners.
Yeah.
He's offended Melo and maybe alienated his best player on his franchise. I mean, it's doing no help. I think we can agree with that.
Yeah, sure. I think what's going to actually come of this is that Melo's going to shoot a lot tonight. I think he knows everyone will be watching this game. I think we're going to get a season high in Melo shots tonight. Give me 28 to 30.
Well,
And
let's
so
hope
what?
not.
You're almost saying
Yeah,
that's sending a message?
Well,
in a weird-
I think he just knows that he just wants to shoot. I think that's all. He said, yes, it offends me to some
Yeah.
degree, but he also kind of walked it back saying, I'm not sure about Phil Jackson's language. It might just be old guy talk,
Right.
for lack of a better term. So I'm not sure what this does long term. I don't know if it really does anything because Phil Jackson really isn't in the limelight so much. He hasn't said anything since. He doesn't need to say anything. He won't say anything. I don't know how much it does as far as this franchise goes. I think what happens on the floor affects it more. Do they go forward with Rose and Melo? Because sometimes it doesn't seem like those guys want to be there. I don't even have to think about or want to think about the management effect.
This is the problem.
Because they don't play like a team at this point.
With the New York market, like anything like this just gets blown up and blown out of proportion. And now people are going to be asking Melo about it. They're going to be asking Rose and Noah and all those guys as well what their input is and how they're affected by it. So it just can't, it's not going to bring the team together, I don't think.
That one quote in particular from Melo was, "I just don't understand Phil Jackson, talking about LeBron in November." I mean, the word itself, for sure. I mean, look, it was misguided, it was disrespectful, definitely disrespectful. And like Melo's point is like, what do we even do? Why is Phil Jackson even commenting on something that happened in the past with LeBron, who just won a championship? It's got nothing to do with us in November here.
It has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah,
it's a strange maneuver.
It does no help to the New York Knicks franchise, in my opinion. All right, Trey, final one here.
Yeah, our final game is Cavs versus Pacers in Indianapolis, and the Cavs sit atop the Eastern Conference at 9-1, but the Pacers have struggled out of the gate at 5-6, but Paul George is straight up balling, putting up 21.6 rebounds and 3 assists per game while adding 2 steals and shooting career highs from the field and from 3. Guys, is Paul George the second best player in the East?
Yes,
question.
he is. He still is. Even though he's been struggling a little bit, his team's not playing well. He looks like he's not enjoying himself right now, and I think part of that is down to the fact they've got a new coach. They were supposed to speed things up, and they've slowed down. The defense isn't great. It's starting to come together. He's been ejected. He's been injured. Things just aren't moving in the way the Pacers were hoping to coming into this new season.
I think Paul George was happy with the offseason moves, and he's just sort of waiting for it to come together around him. That's it. I think Paul George is clearly the second best player. Yeah, I do. I think because he is a superstar that can carry his team offensively and defensively.
Right.
He's shown that he can carry them to that point. The other guys, they haven't shown that they can carry a team to the playoffs like Paul George did last year with very little help around him.
That's why it's tough for me to just go, yeah, it's still Paul George, because when you compare it, remember how hot Paul George started last year? Especially coming back from the injury. I mean, he was on fire there.
Yeah.
It was the first month and a half. We were like, this guy's top 3 in MVP voting, and then it sort of trailed off a little bit. Trey said the numbers are still amazing. The wins aren't there, but there are other guys. I mean, Jimmy Butler, I think you make a case. DeRozan, the tear he's on, at least offensively. Same with Kemba Walker. And maybe it's LeBron's teammate, Kyrie Irving. I think there's a case to be made. You guys are selling me though on still this two-way player in
Kyrie-
PG. He is, but there's some other great players.
There's no doubt Kyrie offensively can get his own shot, whether it's driving inside, pulling up for threes, getting that mid-range game going, finishing either hands. When you talk about complete all-round player, though, he doesn't have the defensive power that Paul George has certainly on his team. But offensively going forward, I think Kyrie is as good as anyone else in that conference.
Paul George, with little talent around him, got his team to the postseason last year. Kyrie, when LeBron wasn't there, didn't do that. He didn't get his team to the postseason once. I think he's grown in the last couple of years, but superstar status, Paul George is it.
Let's hear from the people out there. Jump on Twitter, hashtag the starters. Is Paul George second best player in the East? We've got to take a break. Lots more still to come. When we come back, we'll talk injured players and who we hope returns in Crossfire.
Welcome to Crossfire. This is how it works. Trey will give Skeets and me 3 topics. We'll debate each one, and at the end of it all, Trey will declare a winner. What's our first topic, Trey?
All right, round 1. Drew Holiday plans to return to the Pelicans later this week after missing the start of the season to be with his wife. It's going to be a much-needed boost for a team that has struggled mightily. But guys, which team most needs their injured player back? Here we go!
The Wizards need Bradley Beal back desperately. I feel like if he doesn't come back, this team might go. There might be an implosion in that locker room. Might need me to make a huge trade. They're 2-7. This team is built around John Wall penetrating and getting it out to shooters. They've got one shooter who can shoot. His name is Bradley Beal. Only 3 teams shoot worse than the Washington Wizards. If he's not out there, I'm not sure they can win basketball games at this point.
Wizards definitely need Beal. I think the Celtics need both Al Horford and Jay Crowder back in their lineup.
2 guys.
2 guys for the price of 1 here. You know, Horford's missed the last 7. It's going to be 8 games after tonight with concussion-like symptoms. Crawford out for the last 6. It's going to be 7 with the left ankle sprain. They're 5-5. They can get back on track, but they have the worst defense in the league. The Boston Celtics have the worst defense in the league. Those 2 guys are good defensive players. Get them back in the roster, in the rotation. They're going to bounce back up the rankings there. They need them back.
The Washington Wizards are already complaining. John Wall saying, I need respect. Marcin Gortat saying, we've got the worst bench. They're 9 games into the
They
season.
weren't that
I'm worried.
great when Beal was playing, though, either. That's the one difference.
That's true.
Right?
We've got a soft schedule coming up, too. That might help.
All right, round 2. We're just 3 weeks into the season, but some teams are already seeing their seasons go the wrong way. Which star do you feel the worst for? Here we go!
Wow, that's tough. It's tough to feel sort of bad for any grown man making $17 million, $18 million a year to play a child's game, but I am on board with the hashtag free boogie. DeMarcus Cousins. I feel bad for him. The guy's putting up 30, 10, and 3 with a steal and a block per game, or at least nearly that. They got the new arena. They got these new roster additions in the summer, and here they are, the same old Kings, 4-7. It's brutal. The guy's played for 6 head coaches, I believe, never made the playoffs. Get him out of there. Let's see what he can do on an actual competent franchising team.
I don't care if he was making $100 million. I don't feel sorry for him. Never, ever, ever would I feel sorry for him. He doesn't hold himself accountable. He doesn't hold his teammates accountable at all.
What more do you want him to do?
Not this.
Oh,
and
not
slump
go
around.
put up 30, 10, and 3?
No,
What are you
no, no.
talking
He
about?
slumps around. He slumps around. He doesn't do everything he needs to do to make his team win. I don't have a lot of time here, but the answer is Dirk Nowitzki.
Dirk Nowitzki's already won a title.
Yeah, and the last 5
What are you
years,
talking about?
because he led his team, because he did everything he could, because he
So why
was
do you feel
working with
bad for him?
Holger every single practice, shooting and shooting and shooting.
Why do you feel
DeMarcus
bad for
Cousins
him?
isn't doing everything he can to win.
All
He does
right,
not
all right,
deserve
all
it.
right.
You
Break
feel
it
bad
up,
for
break it up. Round 3.
I don't got any time.
Round 3 news broke this week that the NBA and the agency CAA are shopping a 10-hour Michael Jordan documentary that is already my new favorite documentary. Lock it in. MJ is the GOAT, but which lesser-known player needs their own documentary? Here we go!
I think Dwight Howard needs a documentary. You might not call him a lesser-known guy, but that's the point. We don't know Dwight Howard. He came into this league as a young pup at 18 years old. He was on top of the world 5 years after coming into the league with the Magic. He made an NBA final, and then it all came crashing down. What happened with Kobe and the Lakers? What happened in
He
Houston?
has some stories.
The guy is 30 years old. He went from the most beloved player in the NBA, the face of everything in Orlando. Kids loved him in Nickelodeon, whatever they do in Orlando, and now people hated him. Now he's jumped all the way back. There's a lot to unpack there.
I'm going to go with a fascinating man with a fascinating haircut from a fascinating country, New Zealand. I'm
Okay.
going with Steven Adams.
Oh.
I think Steven Adams would be a good, person to have a documentary about them. He's the youngest of 18 children. His father with 5 different women. That's sort of wild as it is. His sister, we talked about it before, is an Olympian shot putter. He dabbled with that, and he came out of nowhere. He went to Pitt for 1 year. Suddenly he was the 12th pick. Now he's a $100 million man. So I go Steven Adams.
The winner tonight, JT!
Wow, you thought about it.
Yeah, I want to go
Thought
see
about
that
it.
Steven Adams, man. I just got to see that Steven Adams.
Got it with the last round, man. It's huge. Gotta take a break. But when we return, Drake Knight is back.
It's back!
We'll discuss that and a whole lot more. Come on back. You're watching The Starters. Welcome back to The Starters. Right into Fill in the Blank, where Trey's going to throw some fill in the blank questions at us. We'll answer them. TK, first one.
All right, the Raptors are hosting their 4th annual Drake Night tonight, and with that comes some very on-trend, metal-inspired Drake Night t-shirts for everyone. Guys, fill in the blank. The Raptors Drake Night shirts are blank.
They're busy. They're way too busy.
They're blankets. They're huge. They don't look like shirts at all.
Blankets.
Yeah, they're giant.
You said they're metal, I say they're heavy metal. They look like a heavy metal shirt, like a Metallica or something, you know?
Yeah?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks like I can stay warm underneath them because they're monstrous. Look at those things.
They do look like blankets. I'll
yeah,
give you
I
that.
can take a
XLs
nap
for sure.
But
It's,
look
it's
how
time to
many-
make small, mediums, and large and let people trade.
Look how many things are on these shirts.
Yeah.
How many things do we got? Got the praying hands, the 6, the logo, then the written logo, and then the Drake, the date. We got the where it is. I think they glow in the dark. There's too much
they?
happening on
Yeah.
this shirt, man. They're
Too
too
much
busy.
sauce.
Yeah.
They're too busy.
They look like that and Justice for All, Metallica's album. It looks like that, you know? You
You're
know
a big
that?
Metallica
nice font.
fan.
Medium.
You had Metallica in Australia. They come before or after both Drake and Harmony.
They made it to Sunbury once.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
You a fan of Metallica? Medium.
I don't mind a few of their songs.
All right,
Jammers?
Trey.
Yeah, you've got the mustache of a Metallica, that's for sure. Anyways, Sunday was the 20-year anniversary of the release of Space Jam, a movie some people like. And even though that movie's director has said LeBron James is not Michael Jordan, a sequel has been rumored to be in the works for years. Fill in the blank. The new Space Jam should be called blank.
What do you got, Lee?
Spécia Vu.
Oh, man. Not again. Not again.
This is Leisure Vu
No,
right
but
now.
you know why? Because it's going to be the exact same storyline as the first, just different people in it.
Well, I think it's going to be different. That's why I'm calling mine Space Jam Space Jump Shot. To distinguish between the new era of basketball and the old one where they used to play in the post. Now people will know, oh, that's the new one. Yeah.
I'm going Space Jam 2 Monstars Revenge. I just think that will be the story. It's all the Monstars were the best part about Space Jam.
That's 100%
Yeah, but
true.
you know what's
Oh,
going to
actually,
And-
correction. The soundtrack was the best part about Space Jam.
going straight to the
That's
house.
right, hit him high.
But you know what's going to happen in the end. That's my point.
What?
The monsters are going to
But
take
they're not
over.
gonna kill Bugs Bunny.
They're going to take over, and then they'll get their powers back, and you'll be like, "Oh wow, I've seen that before."
I've seen Deja Vu on your board before.
At least he's got the accent.
Yeah.
nice accent.
All right. Trey, you're a fan of Space Jam, I assume.
No.
Oh,
I
good
like
for you.
I like the shoes. I like Michael Jordan, and I'm, medium on Looney Tunes in general.
I don't mind it actually. It wasn't that bad.
You just don't want to see the same one again.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right.
Final one here, Trey.
All right, final topic. David Blaine is back!
Yeah.
Yeah, David Blaine. During a TV special last night, Mr. Magic creeped out notable humans like Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Drake, and Dave Chappelle by spitting not 1, not 2, but 3 live frogs out of his mouth for some reason. Fill in the blank. David Blaine's frog trick was blank.
Yucky.
It was.
It was.
It was a great joke opportunity. Somebody could have said to David, "Hey, what do you got? A frog in your throat?"
Oh!
I went with ribbiting. It was ribbiting.
Oh, that's good.
I put it in quotations so you knew it was a pun.
Yeah.
That was great. I love David Blaine.
That was funny.
Yeah, but it was pretty disgusting. I mean, not one single person went up and said, "Oh man, that's awesome! Show me how to do that." Everyone's recoiling in horror.
Everyone was grossed out.
Yeah.
How long did he have those frogs in his throat?
No. I know.
And there was
Poor
what?
frog.
He spit up 3, right?
Yeah.
Could have more in there. We don't know.
What a waste of champagne, too.
And
Oh, and a
frogs.
waste of frog's legs. I mean, frog's legs aren't bad themselves, but the whole frog?
Well, the frog was alive.
Yeah, I know, but he probably didn't last much longer after that.
He just pops him right back in, takes him out. He's a human aquarium. It's great to have David Blaine back.
Protein in you, I suppose.
Okay. Fill in the blank. Fascinating. When we come back, Lily's very solid play and another wedgie.
Oh, man.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
back with the starters. We found out Lee, in his spare time, is writing sexy, I don't know, intergalactic romance novels. Hudson. And we asked you, what else has Lee Ellis been up to? Hashtag the starters got a few of the best answers.
Yeah, Hagen says Lee has been giving us some great reporting in NBA 2K. Hey, Seattle Sonics have unveiled a brand new design. Cool. Tony Dana says he seems to also be an interior designer. Very tastefully, but my favorite comes from C Down, who says Lee Ellis has been harassing Happy Gilmore's grandma. Looks like a regular Merv Hughes over there.
Looking like Merv right now. All right, let's get to the pick'em results from last night. I believe we have them. Yeah, shirt is still poo colors.
Come on, man!
Sorry, it is.
It's just brown.
It is. Okay, tonight's pick'em play. It's well, you see it there. Pistons Knicks. We all have the Knicks. Well, we're all going with the home team. Surprising here. At the end of the month, someone's got to do something weird or embarrassing. Maybe someone will swallow 3 frogs.
Oh, nice.
Then bring them up. Each
Yeah, you
block.
love it.
I don't know. It's impossible. Lee, where are we going for VSP?
We are heading out to Portland, but it's actually a simple one here from the Chicago Bulls. This is how you start a quarter 2. Beautiful ball movement here. It's a bit of a netball play here, although there's one dribble there from Dwayne over to Nikola Mirotic, wide open for a swish bomb. Not quite, hits the rim, but this was the very first play of the 4th quarter. Well done, Bulls. They killed the Blazers last night. That's what I call a very solid play.
Solid play, solid stash. Lee, it's coming in real nice, man.
Yeah, we're halfway there too.
Yeah, we're asking you guys to donate to Men's Health, Movember.com. Go to that website, search for Lee Ellis. All right, $3,600
Yeah,
plus.
we're getting there.
I mean, we got a long way to go to get to 10K.
Yeah, we need a few more wedgies.
I'd pay not to see that wedge or that mustache again on our show. I'll pay.
All right, we'll pay up.
I will. All right, we got another wedgie. Brooke Lopez, he's shooting threes, he's providing wedgies.
All right.
Incredible. Number 10 on the season. Is it more 3-point shots that is producing more wedgies?
Seems to be helping.
Who knows?
I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Oh,
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, see D'Angelo.
D'Angelo
Let
missed it there.
breathe.
10.
Number 10.
Double figures.
10 wedgies. Man, 40 to go. Hashtag
Yeah.
we are wedgie.
Remember,
Got
the
it.
goal is 50.
Yeah.
We include playoffs because we're so desperate to get there. 44 last year. On pace for 84 this season. It's going to slow down in the playoffs. Guys learn to shoot in the playoffs, so you got to get there right before the
Are we on a
playoffs.
3-night wedgie run right now, or is...
No. It
No?
was a Saturday. Three night for us.
Okay. Excellent. All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Let's hope for another wedgie tonight.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, when you jump, you can tell if you're a Mr. Wigglesworth by how much your belly moves.
Brace the night, people.
Your planters are jiggling.